Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying new connections and great conversation? Have you learned anything new? Yes.
Have y'all filled up your friend cards?
Yeah, I know. Somebody met me. Did anybody met you?
Yeah, I met someone.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you been learning? Have you been laughing? Are you ready for some more inspiration? Okay, awesome. Man. We have a woman who I don't even have true words for her.
I'm just trying to get Tiffany on our trip. I've been asking her for the past 5 years.
Tiffany, I don't have real words for her. You may know her as the Budgetnista.
She's amazing.
She's a financial literacy educator, and for years and years and years, she's been helping many of us in this room. Raise your hand if you have been affected by the Budgetnista's brand.
Man, of course.
She has helped us to get good with money. She has a New York Times bestseller. She has a community that is over 500,000 women strong. 2 million! Girl! Come on. 2 million women strong, all in the name of financial literacy and empowerment for us. Her story, her origin story, is such an inspiring one. She is born and raised in Newark. Will forever love her city, Newark. And I love how much passion you have for the work you do. So we want to have this intimate conversation. I'm so excited. Join us in welcoming Tiffany Aliche. Yay! Oh my God, we're so happy to have you. Oh my goodness, have a seat, Tiffany.
Yes.
Everybody's great girlfriend. Everybody's great girlfriend. She'll get you right in 5 minutes on a call, or a text, or email, or just catch her newsletter.
Just hearing her speak.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, I haven't seen her since 2020, so I'm sitting here looking at you like 21. I'm looking at you like, friend. Okay, we want to first ask you, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. You know, fair. I have been learning to do less, which is nice, because you know me, I was quite the workaholic for a long time. And so now I've learned that, I actually don't have to do all that. I don't believe in overwork and overwhelm anymore. So, because of that, I took 2 walks today and a nap. So,
I'm on walks.
Sis is good.
Taking care of yourself sounds like has become a major priority. Let's safely say we all went through a number of shifts from 2020 to where we're sitting now. Your shifts were more aggressive than what I can say mine were. So, I'm always checking on your heart and your well-being. What has it been for you? How have you managed a major shift in your blueprint, in your story, and being able to sit here today? How have you managed that with self-care?
Well, one, I have an amazing Black therapist. Get you one. Dr. Brandis Green. She's the second Brandis I ever met. I'm like, your name is Brandis too? She's awesome. So honestly, I don't know what I would have done without therapy. And just focusing. So many of you might know that a little under 2 years ago, my husband passed away suddenly from an aneurysm. And so nothing is more clarifying than death. And I just realized that so many things I was working so hard toward, it didn't really matter. You work so hard and you think to yourself, for me, it was always, what's the next biggest thing? How much more can I make? How much higher can I go? And then literally, he was here on a Monday. He said I had a headache. And then by Thursday, he wasn't here. So it's what really matters? And I remember thinking that, being by his hospital bed, and I asked myself, you have a unique opportunity here to ask yourself, Tiffany, what really matters, And the only thing that came up was connectedness and love. Family, friends. I wasn't wishing, I wish I would have spent one more week on the New York Times bestsellers list. I wish I would have made one more million, none of that came up It was just, I wish I had more time. I wish I could be more connected. And so since then, that's really been my focus. I know that as a result of the hard work I put in, I don't have to work anymore if I don't want to.
Amen.
You know? And certainly I can make more money, but to what end? You know what I mean? Like, I have a niece and nephew that live down the street from me. I'd rather spend more time with Roman and Amelia. My two sisters are here, Lisa and Tracy. We've never hung out more than what we do now. You know? I was just telling Tracy the other day, I'm like, there's this chart that I saw that came out about like how much time you spend with family based on how old you are. You know, when you're little, you live with your friends and family. As you get older, you see the time is less and less. And I have been able to reverse that. I spend way more time now at 43 with my friends and family than I did when I was in my 20s, you know, because I've made that a priority. And so, yeah, that's been like the biggest shift. It's been leaning into my friends and family, leaning into like health and wholeness and therapy. Yeah. Yes.
Sybil and a lot of people in here, I mean, I've been following you for a very long time. I think we were on a panel when I was graduating with my master's. I'm currently in a PhD program.
Excuse me, girl.
But it is not about me. It is about you, Tiffany. But for the women that don't know you in the room, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know you're the Budgetnista. I know your story, how you save, but please share with everyone in the room so they could get really familiar with who you are.
So I grew up in a family where we talked about finances all the time. My dad was an accountant and a CFO, and my mom was a nurse. And so my dad really literally I'm one of 5 girls, and he literally sat us down and to show us, this is how you budget, this is how you save. And my mom, raising 5 girls, was like, this is how you negotiate when you go to the store. This is how you don't get played when they talking about, you know. And so I didn't know that people didn't kind of have that financial education until college, and my college roommate had debt collectors calling our dorm room. And I thought it was funny, because you're 19, like 17, 18. So we would like make up different voices for the debt collector, like, hello. And so I was telling my dad, like, Daddy, let me tell you about college. It's so much fun, but these debt collectors keep calling the dorm. But don't you even worry about it, because we put on different voices. He was like, is it crack you're smoking? Is that what it is? I was like, nah. So then he was like, this is what you tell her. You know, tell her to tell the debt collectors this. And I was like, oh. So I started to relay information, and then I became the go-to girl on the floor. Because I went to Rutgers, and the first year I went to Douglas, which is an all-girls college at Rutgers. And so then I became the go-to girlfriend for like financial questions. And after a while, I thought, well, I want to learn this for myself versus relaying what I'm learning for home, because I didn't realize how many people needed this. And then I went on to graduate college. I have my bachelor's in business, but I don't know how y'all do corporate, child. I said, they're not gonna get me. And so, for real, I had a bunch of internships. I was like, oh no, it's the ghetto. I promptly became a preschool teacher. I said, no, I'd rather play with the babies. Play with somebody else. Right? And so I did. So I decided not to work in corporate America, became a preschool teacher. I thought I was going to do it for a year or two and then do something else, but I ended up loving it, ended up teaching for 10 years. And while I was teaching preschool in Newark, New Jersey, the parents started to lean into me, ask financial questions. Well, actually, just to ask for money, because you know how it is. Miss Tiffany, let me hold something till payday, you know? And at the time, I was like 22, they're like 22, and so we became friendly, and I started the lessons again. I was like, Keisha, why do you go to the check cashing place? You know, I don't have a bank account. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'll go with you on my lunch break. Or like, why do you go to H&R Block, you know, and pay all this money for your taxes? Because I knew how to do my taxes. My dad taught me when I was a teenager. Wow. And so I was like, come during nap time, sis. For free? For free. You know, we're just gonna do that. And so it opened up my mind, and I thought, I think I wanna do this because I love teaching. And this was like financial education, but where it mattered most to people who look like me, especially Black women. I started the Budgetnista in 2008. It was going to be a nonprofit, and I was just going to give away all my services. And then the recession happened, and all my friends were losing their jobs. And I was like, ooh, sucks to be you, girl, because teachers don't lose their job. And then I lost my job. I was like, move on over the unemployment couch. I'm here too.
Was that like all the black people that was like, I can't get COVID?
Yes.
I was one of them, Tiffany.
And then we were
like, we can't get COVID.
Right, we're like, oh. And so, so I just, but I went through, I was financially perfect until I was like maybe like 26. I just did what my dad told me to do, basically. Then I got involved in this credit card scam with someone who I thought was a friend, and it left me $35,000 in credit card debt. But the devil is a liar and God is good because he's in jail. Hey, Hassan. Well, you can't hear me because you're in jail. You know what I'm saying? Because he tried to scam the federal government. See, unlike, I didn't have the resources to get him, but God said you're gonna get got. So, he, I'm so petty, let me.
How many of us needed this today? I did. Thank you. Thank you for being Sybil's friend.
We've friends too, girl. I know you a long time. Oh my God. And so, so I lost everything during that time. And I felt, who's ever felt like, maybe it's even now you're feeling like, where you feel like you're grown and yet you are at rock bottom financially. And you're like, how? Because I remember being 30 and I was $300,000 in debt. And I had to move back home with my mom and dad. I didn't even tell my dad because I didn't want to hear his Nigerian mouth. If you're African, you already know, or West Indian, or any place but America. Well, actually, you're black, you already know, right? And so I just remember like literally telling my mom, like, I gotta move back home. So I was literally moving like a lamp and then a blanket. And my dad was like, what is this thing? What are these things? I was like, come again? And then one day I was like, oh, I must stay here a night or 2 or 9 months. So I stayed for a while, and then I could not take the rules because I was 30 and I had to be home at midnight because black parents don't care. You live in this house, these are the rules. And so
at 30, we're still worrying about you.
No, don't do that.
Don't do it. No, ma'am.
No, seriously. My son is getting ready to be 30, and
First of all, 30, girl, you look 30.
Well, I got 4 kids, count my husband 5. But yes, boo, at 30, we're still worrying about you.
Well, whatever. I said I can't do it. So I ended up moving with my sister Tracy, which lasted a while until it didn't. And she was like, so love you, but it's a 1-bedroom. And then I ended up having to rent like a room. Like I just came home. Some of y'all don't know what that means. Some of y'all grew up in the suburbs and it shows, right? So it was hard times because I was grown. And it was in that moment that I realized that like, I didn't even want to tell anyone because shame really is like one of the worst human emotions that you can feel. Because it will not allow you to reach out and ask for help. It will not allow you to reach out to anyone. And my best friend Linda was like, girl, where are you? And I'd been avoiding her phone calls because I just felt so ashamed that like I couldn't afford to do anything. I was broke. People say you're broke, but you have some money like stashed. No. I was broke. And finally, she was like, what's going on? And I told her, like, I lost my job, and I owe $300,000, and all this other stuff. And she was like, that's it? I thought you took somebody's life, that you was hiding out. I was like, dang, Linda. Not hiding out. Yes. And so she was like, everybody's broke. Like, literally, it's the recession. Everyone's lost their job. She's like, I'm calling you from my mama's couch right now. I was like, really? So that lightened the load. And I realized that I actually was fortunate in that I grew up learning how to manage my money, but shame shields solutions. And so I couldn't remember, I had to like remember, like, girl, you know how to budget.
Girl, wait, they write down. They gotta stop for a second. Shame shields
the Budgetnista. Don't take that for yourself. Some of y'all already ready, like, oh, girl, I'm about to be at you. Girl, because what? Shame shields solutions? No, you better at me even in your head. The Budgetnista said that. I don't have that trademark, but Dr. J, maybe I need to.
You need to. You need to. It's hers.
Right?
For the record.
I'm going to see T-shirts like that. That's my
Knock them down. We're going to jump them. If we see you in the street with a T-shirt on, we're going to jump you. I'm just saying. All right, go ahead.
And Sybil is, Sybil is known to show up.
We're going to show up on you. All right, go ahead, Tiff.
And so, but it was in that moment that I realized that, like, Tiffany, like, you need to lean into what you're good at, which is 1, teaching, 2, making hard things easier and palatable. Like, I love that you said that, Dr. J. You know? And then 3, financial education. And so I started to, at first I was afraid to share the mistakes that I made, but I realized that it was helpful because I would sit down with a young sis or a mom or whoever. We worked through their finances. They would start crying. Then I start crying. And you crying. We crying. The baby crying. Everybody crying. Right? And then I would tell them, well, I know this feels like a lot, but, you know, I would share that I had been in all this debt. And they're like, ooh, girl. I'm like, oh, now we're judging. You call me. Right? So I realized that in sharing my financial foolishness, it gave people, they're like, I mean, I owe 10,000, 300,000, you say?
I was over here like, how did you get there? Anybody else was sitting there like, how did she get to 300?
Well, one, it was like I bought a condo when I was 26 because I was what the old folks call feeling myself. I was like, oh, you can't tell me nothing. And I bought this condo and I could not afford it when I lost my job. And then I had $52,000 in student loan. I know you already knew. That got my master's because what? You can't tell me nothing. And I got an education and then the $35,000 in credit card debt. And so it was just a pile on. And I just couldn't afford anything. Like, literally nothing. The debt collectors were calling like crazy. They used to call my parents' house, my sister's job, everybody. My sister, Karen, at the time, well, she still is, but she was a scientist working for J&J. And they were working on some secret cancer medication. I'm like, am I allowed to say that? Either way, she don't work there no more. So, and I didn't even have her work number. Somehow they found her work number. They were calling her. And she was like, you gonna get me fired. I was like, so I had to learn real quick. I was like, cease and desist. Yes. And so all those lessons, though, I can teach from a place of been there, done that, literally wrote the book on it.
Literally.
And so, like, yeah, so it's just, I didn't know, obviously, the Budgetnista was gonna grow to this. I just wanted to make $500 a month.
Wow.
Because that's how much the room was.
Wow.
For real. I was like, if I could just make $500 a month, I could afford this room. And we'd be all right. And then it just started doing gooder and gooder. And now, $40 million later, here we are.
Yes. 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 Come on, friend. No, it's so amazing. Okay, there's so much, right? So, and y'all like, don't ask. They want to ask all the questions, but I do have a question. So many times when you're building, you think you have to have a whole plan. Who thinks you need to have a whole plan? You want it to be
Y'all
perfect.
clearly are not Geminis. We don't have plans.
And you have the idea, and
we
people
jump
tell
off the
you
cliff.
that you need a plan for everything. Your plan was to make $500 a month, and your blueprint was, I'm going to teach one mom at a time that's going to spot me 500. And then something shifted in you. And I also want you to tap on this other piece, because I love how you talk about this, the followers. And Tiffany was putting out content well before anybody was paying attention, and when nobody liking, and when nobody commenting, and now everyone's liking, so just get into all of that grit.
Well, I was just actually talking to one of my mentees the other day, and, you know, she has these big, grandiose plans, and I'm like, girl, that's cute, but just focus on how much you want to make $1,000 a month, you want to make $500, like, sometimes it's just to make that the goal. So I call it the trees versus the forest method, right? And so sometimes it's good to know my bigger goal as like for the forest is one day I'd like to have this multi-million-dollar company that does yada, yada, yada. That's the forest, put it in your back pocket. But then what's the actual tree? Can you make $500 a month? Can you get the website up? Because she's been sitting on this website for 2 years. And she's like, it's just not right. This is her second website. And I was like, first of all, one, I said, put it out because it doesn't have to be perfect. You are wanting to be final season Oprah, first season. Yes. Some of y'all too young, like, Oprah has seasons? So
25.
Long time ago, Oprah had a television show,
Yes, she did.
right? And so I want you to Google first season Oprah. Oh my God. Child, she had a bowl
That
cut.
hair, come on.
It looked like it was in her living room, shot from a cell phone. So Oprah was not even final season Oprah first season. How you gonna be final season Oprah first season? And I told her, release the website and let the streets give you feedback. One of the worst things you can do, and I've made this mistake time and time again, is to perfect behind the scenes as if real people can't use it. I don't perfect behind the scenes anymore. I build good enough, and then I let y'all tear it apart, and then I fix it based upon that feedback, because you're gonna tear it apart anyway. So you can spend $10,000 and 3 years building a thing only to find out that's not what the girls want. You know? And so one of the best things you can do is to figure out what is an easy goal, not easy, but a reasonable goal that you can focus on while in the back of your mind keeping like the bigger picture, you know, in your back of your mind. And for me, because I mentor like a lot now because I have a lot more time. People always think I'm busy, which I love because y'all be leaving me alone. I'm like, yes, I am busy.
So Tiffany, can I be your mentee?
You can go to mymentortiffany.com. It's $9.99 a month. Yes. No, for real, mymentortiffany.com is really nice.
The one-on-one. I'll pay more. I'll pay more.
No. And so, but I started it honestly not for the $10, obviously, but because so many black women asked me to mentor. And so one of the things I tell my mentees all the time is one of the reasons why the Budgetnista is so successful is I spend a lot of time, to Sybil's point, building community. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when you build community, it is the slower route, because certainly you can hit a lick. That's what the young people say, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm like, look at some of them. I'm like, you look about 20 years, hit a lick, right? Oh, okay. Right? You can hit a lick and make money quickly, you know, or 15 years later, you can still be here. Yeah. You know? And so my thing is, one of the best ways to do that is to build your audience and then to build ownership or build in ownership to access to your audience. Yeah. So I have, 600,000 people on my Instagram, but I have 500,000 people on my email. So when IG goes down, everybody's going crazy. I'm like, not me, girl, because I can email. Yes. I've got like 15,000 via text. I've got another, like I'm slowly weaning people off of like our old Facebook group, and we've got maybe like 50 or 20,000 in this platform called Mighty Networks that we use for my dream catchers. That's what I name my audience. And as a result of that, when I launch something, I don't have to keep relaunching, No, I'm like, hey, I wrote like a random children's book. Happy birthday, Molly Moore, to teach financial education to the little babies, right? So I didn't have to be like, my name's Tiffany. It was like, no, to the dream catchers that know, love, and like me, here's something if you want to teach your 3- and 7-year-old. Then my book, Get Good with Money, came out. And because of y'all, it stayed on the New York Times bestsellers list for 8 weeks straight. When I tell you, them white people at Penguin were like, who is Tiffany? I was like, I came with a crew, right? It sold over 275,000 copies in 2 years, which the average book never sells over 2,000 in a lifetime. So we're at 275, and they literally are like, but how? It's because of my community. So when I launch something, you know, well, one, the key is with community is to serve, give, serve, give, and then ask. Some of y'all day one like, hi, my name is Tiffany, can I have this from you? And you're like, girl, take me out to dinner first, warm me up. You asking for me to buy something we just met. You know? And so like the key is like, I love to pour in, free. Like you don't have to, free, but like I love to pour and give and serve. And then that way, like in the off chance I need something, I can reach out and say, I'm actually not asking you to do anything for me. I'm saying, hey, here's this book that I also wrote for you. It does cost, unlike this other thing, but it's an additional resource. So it's like, here Tiffany go again, giving us even more. You know, what I love is when y'all stop me in the street, like, it's not just thank you so much, it's thank you so much for what you do for us. Yeah. That's what black women tell me all the time. Yeah. How do you pour that kind of energy in? Because I don't need a brand, I don't need like a contract. I have y'all. So I can take y'all with me wherever I go as long as I continue to serve y'all. And so that's the business model that I built my business on, service to black women.
Come on.
You know, you talked about pouring into others. Who's pouring into you?
Well, my number one pourer is not here, unfortunately. That was my husband. He was the best. What I love so much about Jarrell, because I was like, I have to say his name, Jarrell. He hated his middle name, but you ain't here right now, babe. Jarrell Jareek Smith. Jariq, why? Well, because he was an identical twin. And so his brother's name is Terrell Tariq. And his mother was like, baby, you finna get Jariq. So he hated. Right now, he could not. He would be like, wow, she's really out here.
Like when you get upset?
Yeah.
Like, you know how you say it when you get upset?
I didn't even say it because he was like, who's Jariq? Not me. So, like, he was my biggest supporter. What I love it, he was just a regular everyday guy. He was a super for Newark Housing Authority. And like, he was just like the one place where I did not have to like show up in that, you know, like as the Budgetnista. You know, I can, and my family too, thankfully. But now, really, it's my family and friends. I did not know how to allow people, besides him, to pour into me and to look after me and to help me. I didn't know how to do that. And after he passed away, because of the way I set up my finances, I was able to take about 2 or 3 months, and I went to Bali just by myself. So I asked God, I'm like, I need to go somewhere. It's too much. And it was like, literally go to Bali. It was just like, okay. And I assumed that God had me go to Bali because, one, it's beautiful, yes. And I thought, oh, I'm here to learn how to take care of myself. But if anybody here ever been to Bali? And so the Balinese have a very unique culture of giving and service. Like, you can't, like, they were still at the tail end of the pandemic, so everything was closed and people were really struggling financially. And so I had this woman every week would come and like wash my clothes, and it was $7, and I would leave her 10, and she would always leave me my $3. I'm like, no, that's for you. She's like, no, it costs 7. You know, and I'm like, and even like at stop signs and things, it's like, you go, no, you go, no, you go. I'm like, somebody go. Because, you know, I drive in New Jersey, I'm going, right? And so it took me, it wasn't until I took the plane ride back home that I was like, well, God, like, why did you send me to Bali? And like a light bulb went on that I was not in Bali to learn how to take care of myself. God sent me there to learn how to be taken care of. Because they would not allow me, they didn't know, like, and you know, that was just the nature of that culture, of that you are here to be looked after. And I was like, so then I was able to go home and allow my family and friends and loved ones to look after me because I needed it, but I didn't know how to ask for it. And so now that's who pours into me now. My sisters, my mom, my dad, my friends. I'm really fortunate. I am inundated by love, and I can actually receive it now. Yeah.
Oh, that's
You want to say yes to that trip?
We don't see, girl. You know, I just be living my life, taking my walks, drinking my tea.
It's self-caring. I want to touch on celebrating because we've talked about this, but I know that it is something that we as women need to learn to do more of. We're so busy working towards the milestones. Who in here has been busy working towards the milestones and taking very little time to look up and like, oh, girl, you are killing it, right? And that's something that we need to work on as women, period. Not even just black women, but all women, learning how to celebrate every moment because we're doing great, ladies. Like, we really are. Even if it's not the finish, we're still doing great because we're in there. We're not giving up. And as we talk about celebrating, I'm thinking about you and all of these wonderful milestones, Tiffany. Like, amazing milestones. And the most beautiful part of all your milestones is that you're still Tiffany. Like, that to me is the most beautiful part of all of it, is you are still the same Tiffany in your spirit and your being. How have you learned to celebrate, or how could you help us learn to celebrate ourselves as we approach our milestones?
I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly, because
I need you to get good at that now.
I was still like jumping from thing to thing. Yeah. I remember when the book came out, it hit the New York Times bestsellers list. Then I became an NAACP award nominee. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I mean, there has just been so many, like I look back and I'm like, oh, wow. Like when someone reads my bio, I'm always like, who is that? Because she sounds amazing, you know? And I'm like, but I just remember never letting things soak in. Yeah. It felt like Vaseline on a winter's day, you know, just all thick on your skin. You're like, and so I am still, like, I've learned to slow down. And honestly, I love to walk because when you walk, you really can't do too much. And so it allows me, I've practiced sometimes, like my therapist would literally just say, I just want you to sit on the couch and look out the window. I'm like, and do what? She was like, that is doing something. Yeah. You know, and so practicing literally sometimes not quote unquote doing anything, and just whether it's walking and saying, I'm not gonna bring my phone, or if I do, I'm not gonna have it on. I'm just gonna listen to the birds chirp. I'm gonna watch these squirrels run by. You know, I'm gonna avoid these nasty pigeons. you know? And so learning to, what helps me celebrate milestones now is learning stillness, you know? Yeah. And honestly, I've been, like, when I was a teacher, they used to teach us about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So if you haven't, do a quick Google, you can see, like, what I was actually pulling it up. And I recognized for myself that I am in a space of self-actualization, which is the top triangle, right? So level 1 is physical needs. One thing they used to teach us when I taught is that, like, if the baby has not eaten, they're not gonna learn their ABCs. Right. Because, like, this baby is starving. You need to make sure they had breakfast, right? And you need to make sure that their clothes are clean. And so I've been able to take care of that part of myself. I'm fine. Second is safety and security. So this is like health, employment, family, social ability. So I've already, like, that part of my life, I've been able to navigate, I've been able to manage. Next is love and belonging. Do you have a sense of connection? Yes. Family, friends. And so that I've been able to do. And then self-esteem is next. It's confidence, achievement, respect of others, the need to be a unique individual. So the 15 years of me doing the Budgetnista, I've been able to establish that, like, it's one of the most influential brands, financial brands, let alone Black women-led financial brands, so it's like done. And so last is self-actualization. And so that is creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, like searching for some sort of inner potential and meaning of life. And so I know that I can speak from this place, when it comes to, like, where I am, and it allows me to kind of like look inward and say, job well done, Tiffany. But it's okay if you're like, well, easy for you to say, because I got to feed these babies. I don't know how I'm going to afford. So I want you to look at Maslow's hierarchy and look at your life and understand that you might be reacting from that way because you don't have the luxury to be in self-actualization mode. Right. And that's okay. Yeah. Then that means you need to focus on figuring out how do I get my finances in a certain way where I can eat enough and I have a safe place to live. And then how do I rebuild that connection to my family and friends? And how do I create safety for myself? And then how do I, create a type of life where I feel like I'm respected in my space and field? You don't have to jump to self-actualization because you're really not going to be able to. And so, so that's really for me, I'm never not asking myself to, not perfection, but growth. Like, that is the thing I require of myself, that I don't want to be the same Tiffany the year before. So I'm always asking myself, how can I grow? Am I being a good sister? Am I being a good friend? Am I being a good daughter? Am I being a good, boss? Am I being a good person? I'm always asking myself for growth. And one of those things is, like, being a good person to myself and acknowledging, like, job well done. So stillness, quietness, actively working on yourself.
That was good. Look at them. They're like, yeah, it was so good. Debbie in the back got you. Can you hand Debbie a mic, Nikita? Oh, Debbie, actually, come on up. Come on up per his previous instruction.
We don't want snaps. We don't want any
Tiffany,
snaps.
you've been just like, y'all, it's just been so much food. It's just, I'm so full. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, everyone. Okay, the middle. My name
Debbie is the new author.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congrats, Debbie.
So my name is Debbie Douglas, and I don't really have a question. I have more of a statement and kind of a thank you. I found out about you from 2015, 2014. I was kind of digging myself out of a lot of debt. I don't even want to go into it. But anyway, when I found you, like you said, it was community, and it was all about the relatability of what others are going through. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to only be you're downtrodden and you're at rock bottom. I work in corporate America. I have a great job. I made good money, but I needed that extra push in terms of, like, getting my finances together, breaking down my debt, saving more because I wanted to purchase another property, and literally the Live Richer Challenge.
Yes.
If
you haven't done it,
yes,
you did sign up. It's free.
I started with your Facebook page, and when I tell you, it literally changed my financial life. It was, It was with my friend at work, and she was my accountability partner. It's just the little things that the program provided. And again, she started out with the small nuggets of like a lot of free resources, and it's very impactful immediately. So I mean, it ultimately ended up getting me to where I am now in terms of like having a second property, and I moved to Newark.
Okay. Where you live, girl? We talk about it later.
She lives 5 minutes from me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We need you to come to brunch.
Exactly. Yes. So I bought a townhouse, but because of that, it allowed me to get there faster. You know, I bought a townhouse out there during the pandemic as well. But it was just more of a thank you. I so much appreciate your community and the resources that you pour into all of us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie, can you actually hand the mic to
And if you're
Now you got to come to brunch.
Oh, you actually have to come up here. I don't know why I forgot that.
LiveRicherChallenge.com. It's still free. I've been doing it for like 10 years, and it's really my gift to black women that my rule is you don't have to spend money with me to get help. Because I didn't have money when I was getting started. And so the challenge has been free. We usually do it collectively together every January, but you can sign up whenever. But like Debbie, do it with somebody else because we work best in community.
Yes.
Love that. Hey, Nikita. Okay, so my question, of course, is coming from a new entrepreneur standpoint, you know. So I feel like we talk about small business all the time, but that new smaller business, I've been full-time entrepreneurship for under 3 years.
Okay.
Shout out to Brandis over there. She's spoken into existence for me.
Okay.
But my question is, when you're starting out as a new entrepreneur in small business, of course, that those grants, that loan money, all of those things are not necessarily afforded to you because you don't have that history. But yet you're still hit with the same adversities as a small business. You talked a lot about shame and like just being vulnerable and talking about girlfriends. I'm not from here. I've been here by myself for about 9 years. And I'm gonna be vulnerable with you. I'm in a service-based business, you know, and in that service-based business, we deal with those clients that sometimes, you know, I don't know what they got going on in their life, but they go to the result of going that chargeback route. You've done every service. You've done everything you need to do for them. And then they hit you, or when they hit you, they call their bank and tell their bank they didn't do something. Now, if it's $300-400, you can soak that up. But if somebody does that for $20,000 to $30,000, which is something that I've experienced after doing all the work, how do you financially prepare when you feel like you're trying to go after your mistakes, you try to fix them and stuff like that, but when you get hit with something out of the blue, how do you prepare? And I'm not sure you would even have the answer, but what are those tools that just keep more so I think I'm looking for, so not necessarily the answer, but how does it keep you going when you like, damn,
Well, it is hard.
$30,000 when you've done all the work and you like, wow.
No, first of all, one of my friends, Cabral, he has this legacy business called Elegant Eyes, and it's based in Newark. His grandparents started it, saw it through. Newark had those terrible riots. They stayed open as a black-owned business, went to his mother, now him and his sister. He's had chargebacks, and come to see them at work, they wearing the glasses. Like, oh, but you didn't get them frames, though. You know?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'll say this, that because that happens, the things that do cost money with me are not quite as expensive as that. But I've had people report me to the Better Business Bureau. I'm like, sis, did you even send an email?
Right.
Or this is why, or sometimes we'll have people press the button to buy something multiple times, and then they'll self-charge multiple times. You charged me 4 times. I'm like, you pressed the button 4 times. Yeah. You know, this is what I hate most when someone said, this is why I don't like dealing with black businesses. And I'm like, so.
That's right. That's stop 2.
So I got that Google review, and I'm like, girl, I don't even know you. You don't even do business.
So
with me.
what I would say, if I was mentoring you, we were going on a walk or talking about it, I would say, okay, let's look at the type of people that you call customer. And how can we diversify those customers, right? So, for example, I have this online school called the Literature Academy. Right now, it's just people coming off the street, and ads are getting more and more expensive and are not as effective as they used to be. And so now we are in talks with colleges to have the Literature Academy. Instead, you put your 1,000 people here, your 100 people there, because one, I don't have to pay the marketing cost. And 2, it will help me to diversify the types of people that I call client. So that's what I don't know where you find your clients, but I would be diversifying how I find my clients. It's nice sometimes to have a mix of contracts, like Dr. J, as well as individual clients. If that makes sense. I don't know. I would have to if we were walking, I would want to know all your business,
I'll tell you all my business.
Right? And so that would be something. And I would also ask myself, are there other products and services that I can offer, to supplement, like what I'm doing? So even, for example, the Budgetnista at one point was 70% speaking engagement spokesperson work. Because I have several businesses, right? Which that's an over-index to, because that requires me to be the hottest chick in the game wearing his chain always. And I was like, I'm tired of dancing on the stage, right? And so I had to diversify what other ways can the Budgetnista make income. So getting clear, so I'm clear, my team is clear, what are we in the business of? Content and community. And what are 4 or 5 ways that we can make money via content and community? And I told them, I don't want to be 70% spokesperson work and speaking engagements, and now I'm about 25%, which is why I wanted to hover. So one, diversifying, the products and services that you offer, so you can then diversify the types of clients, and you might honestly have to leave a certain segment behind, because everybody's not ready for, because if you find it to be over and over and over, you might want to say, I want to serve this population, but they don't want to serve you. Yeah. And so maybe instead you offer if your work is soul work, sometimes we have soul work. So maybe instead for that type, you have some sort of free or low tier thing that people that you do want to help, and unfortunately too many people from that community take advantage. So you're like, well, here's that free challenge that I offer y'all. And then I'm looking for clients that don't do that, because I promise you there's a running theme there. Yeah. And then also too, you should have every business you need to have. I keep 6 months of operating expenses. After the pandemic, I said, I had read that Microsoft had 1 year. I said, cute for Bill Gates. That's a lot. But we have 6 months. At the time, we had 1 or 2 months. Because, money was flowing in, and I was like, no. Personally, as Tiffany, I have 1 year's worth of personal expenses saved as Tiffany. And so all of my businesses have 6 months to help with that offset. That way I know if something really bad happens, I have 6 months to figure it out. So I would suggest squirreling away so you have time for that too, money for that too.
Thank you. I have been watching you, and I got 4 businesses too. Okay. Just so you know.
Okay.
Nice. All right, Shay.
I just had a suggestion.
Stand up, love.
So I'm also in the fashion industry. So I don't do deposits and balance. I do quarterly payments, and usually the last 2 is cream. Cash rules everything around me. Don't take credit cards, take cash.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're going to take one last question. I saw your enthusiastic hand. Come on. Uh-oh.
That's okay, girl. We all ladies in here.
Showtime. No, just joking. She got another stream, y'all know.
OnlyFans. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm sorry. We don't want you to get the snaps.
So I'm Lakeisha, and my question is, so I've been in business for 4 years now, and I'm a very focused person when I have a goal. So my 4-year goal was, my 4-year goal was I had to make my $1 million, right? I got close, but not quite there. So I'm at a point where I'm trying to figure out what's most important to me, because I put off a lot of things to hit these goals, like kids, relations, to hit a certain number. So how did you navigate that? Because I'm very when I have a goal, I gotta hit it, gotta hit it, gotta hit it, gotta hit it. And nothing else is in my view.
So many of us Black women have done that, right?
Yeah.
Because you work so hard, and I didn't really start dating my husband until I was 34. We dated. I met him in my 20s, and I was busy. Then at 30, he was I was Budgetnista, thanks. And then by 34, I was it's quiet in this house by myself. Because I had put it off, and then we got married at 37.
Okay.
And then we tried to conceive for 3 years, IVF for 3 years straight, and I couldn't. I did not know, but apparently, those of you who had babies or have ever done IVF, as you get older, your eggs are not as viable, but by my mid-30s, my eggs were similar to a woman in her mid-40s, that apparently my viability went down more drastically than others, so I did not know that. And so I say that, especially if you're a young woman in this room, I tell all the women under 30, freeze them eggs. Yeah. Even if you're like, I'm not sure, then because the beautiful thing is that if you freeze your eggs at 32 and you have a baby at 42, that's a 32-year-old baby egg. Because the egg freezes at that age that you are. So if your body is still strong, I mean, you can carry a baby at 50 from your 25-year-old self, if that makes sense, you know? So one, I would say that I want you to get really clear about like what really does, I can't tell you what really matters, because I get it all about, I will tack a number on the wall and come hell or high water, we hitting that number. Exactly. But to what end? Yeah. I want you to ask yourself, how do you want that number to meet you? Do you want it to greet you healthy, happy, and whole? Mm-hmm. You know? And so as someone who has, thank you. No, but as someone who sacrificed a lot, you know, literally, we had, my husband and I did the last implant, embryo that we had that was healthy. They implanted it in October, and he passed away in November. And the baby didn't take. And so, you know what I mean? Because I did 3 years, I feel like if God wanted me to have a baby, I have my stepdaughter, so that's my baby, and I have my nieces and my nephew. But I feel like if God wanted me to have a baby, I would have, but I had to ask myself during that time, Tiffany, are you going to, because God was sending me whispers, which I'm sure he's sending to you too. I don't know what your faith is, but he be talking to you either way. I'm just saying, right? Right? He's like, oh, cute, okay, I'm still talking to you. You know, he sends whispers, and so it was very clear when I started IVF, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have children. Although I love kids, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have children, but God made it very clear to me, you will regret not trying. And I was like, And had I not tried, I would have. Because I would have been like, Jarrell's not here, and you didn't even try because you were too busy with Budgetnista? Yeah. But that's not true, because I took 3 years where I did not travel. You know, I was at the IVF office if you ever done IVF, you're there every week. I took all the shots. My doctor was like, you are the perfect model patient. And so I can sit here and be like, if I was supposed to have a baby, I would have had a baby. Because I did all that I was supposed to do. So I don't want that regret for you. Yeah. The whispers are whispering. I don't know what they are, but you know what they are. I can see in your face, we all know what they are. You know? Which is like, do this thing, slow down, call your mama, hang out with your brother, go see the nieces. Whatever those things are, I'm not saying don't achieve and chase after, but what I'm also saying is make that as important. That's achievement too. Your niece saying you the best auntie. You know? Because I promise you, after a certain amount of money, Dr. J, I'm sure you can attest, it doesn't really move nothing. After a certain amount of money, once you get to a certain level of comfort, sometimes I'm like, did I get paid this week? I don't know, child. Because after a certain amount of money, so what am I chasing? You know what I mean? Literally, I was supposed to, there was some 6-figure contract they want me to tape next week, but I'm going to Savannah with my best friend. And they're like, can you move it? And I was like, I could, but I'm not. Because another $100,000, although that's great, but to what end? To miss out on another vacation, another hangout? No. And so I just want you, in the pursuit, I want you to get clear on what your actual desired outcome is, not the number, because it's really not the number. Is it safety? Is it security? Is it make that the desired outcome? Money is a good tool to kind of check to see how far you've gotten, but not to see if you've gotten the thing you actually wanted. So I don't want regret for you. So listen to that God voice, okay?
Just real quick, Sid, real quick. We have talk.
The whispers are whispering. That's so good.
Hey.
Honor that whisper.
This is not a question. Tiffany, nice to meet you. I've met you a couple of times before. This is not a question. This is something I'm going to say to you. You need to write another book because I see another best time-selling author for you. I'm a prophet, so you're speaking of God, so I felt the need to speak. You need to write another book and do something worldwide. That's what I'm getting for you. I just wanted to tell you that.
Okay,
I just wanted to make the comment to you.
I know, he told me that too. I was like, no, God, leave me alone. Sam, pick somebody else.
The whisper.
I'm trying to be in Savannah.
Yes, the whispers are whispering, but that's so good. And may we all have the courage to honor the whisper, whatever that is for you, and you know specifically, and is whatever God is saying, or your higher power. Mine is God through Lord Jesus Christ. Honor the whisper. Hello? Because it matters. It matters that that your body can trust that you'll follow the guiding light, right? And I feel like sometimes when you don't do that, you stop getting whispers and you be like, where is God? you weren't listening. So he was like, so Jatali, I got a few whispers for you because Nia wouldn't listen. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we have to do that. That's so powerful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This should turn into a slumber party. I feel like this is a whole slumber party.
We're staying
Because we all
over.
like kicked back like, and then what happened, Tiff? All right, and then what happened? It's a whole slumber party, and so maybe that's in the realm of. He didn't tell you
We
that.
gotta make
I'm
sure
just
the
joking.
first night, Sibs, we gotta make sure the first night at the festival is a slumber party.
It's a slumber situation.
And Tiffany, just like Dr. J and Brandis, is gonna leave discussion.
I love it. Look at them, they're like, yes. But how wonderful has this experience been for you all? Oh. Tiff, we can't thank you enough for opening up so vulnerably with this room and giving us so much of you and your journey and the highs, the lows, and the stuff you're still figuring out. Yeah. You're still figuring out, and there's going to be more years of figuring out. I mean, you always have the right community around you to love you through every single moment. Every single moment.
And I just want to tell you, like, honestly, I don't know what I would have done without my girlfriends. So I know you guys might not know that I know, but I think it was Tracy or Lisa or someone after Jarrell passed away, Lucinda, I think Brandon, Sybil, they came to my house and they prayed in front of it for me. I just want you to know that I know that you came. At the time I wasn't able to but I want you to know that. So that's what sisterhood looks like, and that's what means the most, you know?
Tiffany, can I tell you something? These women love you because I remember Lucinda calling me and saying, oh my goodness, Nakia, I just heard Tiffany's husband pass. And she was like, I don't know, should I call her? I said, just show up. Just show up. Yeah. So
I just want you to know, and I just want to acknowledge that. At the time, obviously, it was too much, but it meant so much to me that you can show up not knowing if I would know or not, you know? And so I just really appreciate that sisterhood. So Sybil knows I don't be going outside. Tracy was like, Sybil, I'm like, what does Sybil want? I gotta come outside.
And I was gonna text, but I was like, let me follow the protocol. Hi, Tracy, I have an event. I want Tiffany to come. I tried to do the right way. I wasn't gonna text and be like, girl, can you come?
Literally, I was like, who? Sybil, dang. That means I gotta do it because it's Sybil. So here I am.
Thank you.
Of course.
She always says yes. And I just guys, thank you so much. We love you, Tiff.
Hey, great girlfriends. It's me, Dylan, with the Motivational Minute. Today's quote is, "You don't have to be serious all the time to do a good job," by Simone Biles. So I feel like that quote means that you should loosen up and be able to have fun and be able to just chill out. Don't have to be serious all the time. Just make sure that you're serious in the right times. This has been Dylan with your Motivational Minute. Bye.
All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_greatGFS. I'm Sybil Amuti and I'm out. Peace.
Yay Networks.